Imagine waking up at dawn to the sound of fists pounding on your door. 3 men in tactical vests stand outside, fake badges, fake authority, and a clipboard full of lies. They say they're here to take your child, your son. Most people would freeze, but I'm not most people. I'm a Navy SEAL dad, and before this day was done, those so-called enforcers would regret stepping on my porch. Because when you threaten my family, I don't call the cops. I am the response team. This is how suburbia's Wild West met a Navy SEAL and lost. It was exactly 6:07 a.m. when the knock rattled my front door. Not the polite kind of knock. This one carried weight, rapid, violent thuds, the kind that make your stomach drop before you even open your eyes. I blinked at the glowing red numbers on the clock, heart thumping, then rolled out of bed like I was still deployed. Old instincts die hard. Through the pee-hole, I caught them. 3 figures. 2 burly men in matte black plate carriers, Kevlar boots laced tight, mirrored aviators masking their eyes. Between them stood a lanky kid, barely more than 20, trembling around a clipboard and a dented radio. The leader raised something metallic, pressing it against the glass. A badge. Shiny, but wrong. I'd seen real badges carried by men who bled for them. This one? A toy in a cheap wallet. "Mr. Mercer," he said, his voice muffled but confident. "Custody compliance check. Minor transfer initiative under Article 9.2a. Please comply." I didn't open the door. Instead, I walked calmly to the kitchen, poured coffee into my favorite chipped Navy mug, and sipped slow. When I cracked the door, my voice was even. "You've got the wrong address." His grin was sharp but cold. "Domain-wide safety protocol. Your son, Liam Mercer, flagged high risk. Immediate transfer required." Behind me, Emily padded in, clutching her robe shut. Her eyes were wide, already glistening with fear. Then came the sound of a creaking door, Liam's door. My boy stood there, pajamas wrinkled, hair messy, clutching his stuffed bear like a shield. The clipboard kid rattled off words like he'd memorized them for a school play. "Behavioral anomalies, household volatility index, 72% probability of caretaking failure." I narrowed my eyes. My kid isn't a damn experiment. The kid shrugged, like he'd heard it 100 times before. His voice cracked. "Stand aside, sir, or we log non-cooperation." I stepped forward, planting myself between them and my son. Emily's hand found mine, fingers trembling but firm. For a moment, the 3 of them hesitated. They'd bluffed their way through plenty of doors, but they had never faced someone who'd spent a decade defusing bombs in hostile deserts. Finally, the leader muttered, "Non-compliance logged." They turned on their heels, boots heavy against the porch, and left a crumpled notice at my feet. Liam pressed against my leg, eyes wide. I bent, whispered low, "I've got you, buddy. Always." From the street, joggers passed, sprinklers hissed, dogs barked. To anyone else, it looked like another suburban morning, but I knew better. Phase 1 was over. They'd be back. By noon, the neighborhood was buzzing. Whispers spread like wildfire. HOA security swept the Mercer house this morning. Some neighbors shot sympathetic looks as they trimmed hedges. Others kept their distance, fear etched on their faces. Nobody wanted trouble. Emily spent hours pacing with the phone glued to her ear. Attorneys, friends, anyone who could help. But every answer came back the same. No legal basis, no precedent, but also no clear way to stop them. Liam sat at the kitchen table, crayons abandoned. His drawing, a house with 3 black shadows at the door. I squeezed his shoulder. "They're not getting in, not while I'm here." But at 2:30 p.m., they returned. Same 3, only this time they had backup. A 4th man in a crisp suit, briefcase in hand, eyes sharp as glass. He carried himself like a prosecutor. They didn't knock. They marched right in, flashlights cutting across the walls. "We're here for Phase 2, the clipboard kid announced, clippedly. "Custodial extraction under new mandate." Emily stepped between them and Liam, her voice barely above a whisper. "You're not touching my son." The suit flipped his notepad open. "Ma'am, you are obstructing a lawful operation." Emily lifted her chin, defiance burning through her fear. "This is my home, and there is no law that authorizes this." That's when I rolled my sleeve up just enough for the trident tattoo to show. The leader froze. The clipboard kid paled. I stepped forward, my voice calm but laced with steel. "Last warning." The suit swallowed, his confidence faltering. Papers rustled, threats muttered. I tore their documents in half, scattering them across the floor. The suit whispered, "Sir, you'll regret this." Outside, sirens wailed in the distance. They weren't for us, not yet, but the sound broke their courage. They retreated fast, leaving nothing but shredded paper. Emily clutched Liam to her chest. "What now?" she whispered. I exhaled, steady and sure. Now we hit back. By sunset, the news cycle was already buzzing. HOA hired private security force gone rogue. But headlines didn't matter. What mattered was making sure they never came back. I called in an old favor, Cole, former SEAL, brother in arms. He didn't ask questions, just said, where and when. We called it Operation Home Front. At 10 p.m., Cole slid into an unmarked van across from Safe Haven's makeshift command post. Emily and I followed in our SUV, Liam tucked safely in the back seat with headphones and cartoons. The compound was laughable. Chain-link fences, cheap floodlights, and a trailer where the command staff ran their sham operations. 3 guards stood at the gate, scanning IDs like they were at a real base. I stepped out, jacket unzipped, the trident patch stitched on my chest. One look at me, and they faltered. "You're out of your depth," I said, voice low. "Let the kid go." They hesitated, fists clenched, adrenaline high. I moved first. Years of training kicked in. The clipboard kid lunged. My arm hooked his, twisted, crack. He screamed, dropping the board. The stocky guard charged. I sidestepped, drove my shoulder into his ribs. Air whooshed from his lungs as he crumpled. The youngest froze, too slow. One motion, lock, twist, snap. His elbow bent the wrong way. The suit sprinted for the gate. Too late. I grabbed his collar, wrenched his arm back until he whimpered for mercy. Emily filmed every second, her phone steady in her hands. Liam watched from the van, wide-eyed but safe. I let them crawl away, broken and humiliated. "This ends now," I growled. And in that moment, it did. By dawn, the HOA board had sent a formal apology. The so-called security team was disbanded. But I wasn't done. Cole and I leaked the footage online. Within hours, the story exploded. News anchors called it Suburbia's Wild West. Neighbors who once whispered now showed up with casseroles and shaky apologies. And the board? Half of them resigned overnight. The other half hid behind lawyers. I stood on my porch, Liam at my side, Emily's hand in mine. "Dad?" Liam asked softly. "Are they gone for good?" I knelt, looking him straight in the eye. "They won't ever take you from me. Not while I breathe." Weeks later, the HOA tried to salvage their image. They dragged me into court, claiming assault, trespass, and a dozen other false charges. I stood tall, suit pressed, Emily and Liam in the front row. Cole sat behind me, a wall of quiet strength. Their attorney spat fire, waving photos of bruised guards and broken arms. Then Emily rose. She played the footage. Every second of their unlawful raid, every threat, every fake badge. The courtroom went silent. The judge leaned forward, eyes like steel. "This was vigilantism by your HOA. Case dismissed." The gavel dropped. I walked out free, my son running into my arms. Life eventually settled. The HOA dissolved under lawsuits, neighbors rebuilt trust, and our street finally looked normal again. But normal for me had a new meaning. I sat on the porch one evening, Liam curled beside me with his bear. Emily brought coffee, kissed my temple. "To us," Liam whispered, clinking his plastic cup against mine. I smiled, heart steady. To us. Because if there's one thing suburbia forgot, it's this. Navy SEAL dads don't negotiate for their kids. We fight. And sometimes we break more than just the rules.